Book of Proverbs, verse 1. Whoever remains stiff-necked after many rebukes will suddenly be destroyed without remedy. Okay. Hi, everybody. This is Christian RPG Gamers. Okay, so I hope everybody's having a good day. Just trying to be at peace, right? Okay. Again, like I do think, no, I do honestly think peace is a good thing. I feel like I must have some kind of congestion in my throat, or my some. I mean, I probably sound. I'm not sure if I sound different than I normally do or not, but I don't know. I had some kind of allergies or something like. I've had this for like, it feels like better over the course of like a decade, but so it's like mucus in my throat or something, but I don't know. So hopefully I sound fine or whatever, but and like the temperatures for me where I live, it's like the temperatures go up and they go down. I think these up and down temperatures, it doesn't help at all. Okay. But also in life, it is what it is, right? But so for today's video, now I don't want this video to be like super controversial. This is probably going to be more like a tame version. I might make another video or two about something like this. But this one's just going to be more of like I'm going to try to keep it a little more neutral and calm. So it's about the new video games coming out. I believe it's called Assassin's Creed Shadows. And it's the new installment after. So they had Origins, and then they had Odyssey, and then they had Valhalla, and now they're making a new one in Japan. So I just want to talk about this a little bit. I know that I mean, I don't even know why this is like considered to be a controversial, really, in my opinion, but apparently it's like some major controversial issue, and people are just mad about it, to tell you the truth, and people are just mad all day, every day about every little thing. And you got the election coming up, and you got all these gaming news and stuff. But it's like, what's the phrase from the Bible, right? It says like there's nothing new under the sun. Now people are mad, and people have always been mad, and people are mad now, and people are just going to keep being mad hundreds, if not thousands of years from now. Because like human beings are just angry all the time. But some people are just like chronically mad about something all the time, no matter what. And they just need something to be mad about. So they have to find a reason to be mad, and and there's really nothing I can do about it. So I guess this game, it's made people very upset. I mean, to tell someone else the truth, I've honestly been looking forward to like a game like this. So I mean, to hear news like these of this kind of stuff, it kind of makes me feel like unhappy, in the sense that I was really looking forward to like maybe Assassin's Creed kind of getting a soft reboot, and they're going to start with a brand new like a 3 series game again. And there was all these different hypothetical areas that Assassin's Creed could have went down. Now it might still just be fine, right? They might still make another 3 series and a new main protagonist, and they'll go on a new route. But there was so a small amount of the controversy is they had so it's supposed to be set in Japan, and I think either one of the main characters or one of the key individuals in the story, whose name is called Yasuke, and they made him a black samurai, and he's supposed to be like extremely disrespectful in Japan to people, basically. Now again, I don't know the exact details, because like the game hasn't actually come out yet. It's supposed to come out in like I think it was supposed to come out within the past month or so, but they ended up delaying it for like 3 or 4 months into 2025. But basically, like you're supposed to be like a black samurai who I think kills other people in Japan and stuff. And this makes people, honestly, this has triggered a tremendous number of people. So, and which I think, to be honest, that's completely fair, actually, by the way, that people are mad about this. I mean, because it is insulting. I mean, first of all, that you're making a game set in the Japan area, and you don't just have like a normal Japanese person be like, the main character. and distorting, historical facts and accuracy isn't really right, to be honest. First of all, and it's just a blatant insult. But I also make the argument that it's also just not a real world, and it's not real characters. And it's just, to be honest with somebody, like, it is kind of just a stupid video game at the end of the day. Like, I know that people get mad about it, but it is just a video game, right? So, I don't know. I mean, I'm not an expert on this subject. I mean, I've watched some videos about it. People are just real mad about it. But I guess I'll just kind of give some of my thoughts here about this stuff. So, I mean, I've been looking forward to the next Assassin's Creed game. I mean, and I'm probably still gonna be happy with the game and enjoy it. I understand this kind of stuff. It really makes it hard to enjoy. But I think to be honest, okay, so like the gameplay is still probably gonna be really good. Which at the end of the day, the story is one thing, but you want a good story, right? But you still need really good gameplay too. So presuming they don't, screw that up, which they could do, but like, I really have a hard time understanding how they could, seeing as which they already have games that are amazing to begin with. They already have such a great formula and great opportunities that I have a hard time believing that they could really screw the gameplay up. Like, screwing the story up is one thing, but screwing your gameplay up is an entirely different thing. So like, I mean, I'm probably gonna really enjoy myself. I'll probably go through the game. Honestly, I'll probably wait till the game comes out. I'll watch maybe a couple reviews. I'll probably see some of the gameplay footage. I'm probably just gonna wait until it goes on sale, or give it a good couple. I might give it a good 2-3 weeks or something, or a couple months. I mean, because most Ubisoft games go on sale, and you can buy them at pretty good rates. You get the full game, all of the DLCs. You get all the patches, you get all the special extra goodies they give you. You give it like a good 3 to 6 months for most Ubisoft games. You can spend like, $20, $30. You get a really good deal and a really full, just kind of like, you can really sink your teeth into it. Even if it's not like a perfect game, because that's what most Ubisoft's a very quantity heavy game. Because I mean, they got their Far Cry games, they got their they got Assassin's Creed, and they got a bunch of, I think they got 2 or 3 different spin-offs. They got like the Avatar, like the Last Frontiers, I think it's called. They've had and there's a lot of Ubisoft-like games out there too. There's a lot of games that use a similar engine and similar world ideas. And I mean, it can be a lot of fun to walk around the map for a while and explore all the places and do all the little stuff. Which, I mean, I get it. It is subjective at the end of the day. But I still think it can be a lot of fun. And then, and this game specifically, it'll be set in like a Japan. So, I mean, everybody has their own, like, their own take of how they want to view things. Like, there's Ghost of Tsushima, which is a pretty good representation of a lot of Japan's culture. And there's a few other games out there. There's a lot of fantasy aspects to like the Japan. So it could be a lot. It could be really good, right? And honestly, the story is probably going to be pretty solid. I mean, I can't imagine that they can. I mean, they probably have blundered a couple characters or something, but Ubisoft, to be honest, if you look at their track record, rather than just looking at it from your emotions, but you look at it from like a logical, objective point of view, Ubisoft, they have done a fairly good job with a lot of the characters. And even if it's not one-to-one perfect in like reality, like, they had characters set in the United States of America. They've had characters, set in like, ancient Greece. They've had some in Egypt. They've had some in different areas of the world in different time periods. They've shown, the different heroes and different villains, and you get to interact with them at times. And honestly, I feel like, this game is not going to be that much dramatically different. It's probably still going to be pretty good. I mean, if you can just set aside this one area it'll probably be fine. It's not gonna be like that big of a deal. Obviously we'll have to see. Maybe it will be so crippling that it'll be very bad for the game. But I mean, even then, you can still at least enjoy the game. Especially if you don't pay as much money, you do like on a sale or something. It should be fine. Again, oh yeah, I do try to put like a Christian perspective on some of this stuff. Although I don't always have like a direct biblical answer for some of these things. It's like, I mean, I would make the argument that, we should try to respect history, especially if it's like, like literal, real history and historical characters in historical areas. They should be, I do honestly feel like if you're going to use something from history, it's going to be like a literal history from like the literal world. They should try to make it as one-to-one as possible to at least respect, the way things were. Because that's the way, because you can't change history because it's the truth. Because it's just the way it is, right? You can't go back in time, especially if all these people are long gone. And I also feel like, because these games are fictional at the same time, you can change small aspects of the world and characters, but they should at least try to, like, as their core main, like their vanilla core main, they should at least try to show respect and honor and make them as, like, their personalities and their beliefs, as much as they should be and how they were. But they can change some small aspects to make it fit for the world and stuff. And since it's fictional, right? It's not one-for-one literal. Because this is not a historical, like, biography or something. This is a video game. They could, there could be a couple points here and there they could just, they could allow to be manipulated for the story in order to make it like an interesting story. So, like, it's not like completely unreasonable, but they should try to be respectful, and they should try to make it accurate, or at least make it seem like it's accurate. Like, they wore a certain type of clothing, or they had a certain way they spoke, or certain major key big deeds and stuff they've done. There's certain things you really should not change about historical characters. But again, if you want to put a character into a plot story that's in a fictional world, you might have to adjust the character a little bit, so that it can make sense at the end of the time. So, but I do think respecting history is important. Again, so this is probably my moral or Christian message that I would put in, like, the idea of respecting history. So, because again, like, we should honor the past, and we should honor those who came before us. And there is biblical teachings about, like, respecting the past and respecting history, especially if that person or that group of people deserve it. I mean, that's especially important. And honestly, even if someone doesn't deserve it, it still doesn't mean we have to be disrespectful. But that's a difficult, moral message or whatever. But because I know there's Bible verses that talk about, like, do not encroach upon, your ancestors, or, like, or, like, not to speak evil, but, like, your mother and father, or not to not to move your ancient boundary stone, or not to, basically don't insult, your heritage or where you came from, or, these types of stuff. Honoring, traditions and stuff. Especially if they're, like, more, like, honorable and, like, good qualities too. Because, like, honoring the past it really is important. And, like, one day we're going to become the past, and we're going to become the history too. One day we're all going to be dead, and, future generations are going to take our place. And then all we're going to be is, like, history books and stories. I believe our souls will continue to exist for eternity, but our lives on this earth will eventually come to an end. It's just the truth. And, just look in the past, right? How many billions of souls and people have walked this earth? And now they're gone, they're dead. And new generations take their place. And one day, our ancestors, our people who come after us, many generations, they will also fall and they will fade. And new people will take their place too. In holiness, if it's within God's will. And would you want to be depicted as something different than what you were? Would you want, like, your parents or your grandparents or those who came before you, or maybe they were there before you, like 5-10 generations before you? Would you want them depicted completely 100% different than they actually were? I mean, maybe you don't have to. Maybe they don't have to be depicted one for one exactly as they were 100%. But I mean, you don't want someone to be blatantly disrespected. And like people's cultures, their norms, the way things were, again, like you can't change that because you can't change history. I believe you can be forgiven for your sins. Like you can do an action and you can be forgiven for that action, and you can basically be like, quote unquote, you can get off the hook, or you can be let off the hook. But you can't change, your actual, like, you can't change the deed. Now maybe your name will be removed from the deed. The deed will still exist. Like, choices exist. I believe they permanently and indefinitely exist. Because that's just reality, and we all reap what we sow. But I do believe, even biblically, we can find redemption. It is possible, but you can't escape the consequences of your actions. And things in the past, they are what they are. And a lot of us don't like to look in the mirror and see the truth. And a lot of us don't like our history. But our history is our history. So, again, like going back, to Assassin's Creed Shadows, like there is a level of it like being insulting, and I also don't, I don't really know all the details either of who exactly made these decisions and how they thought they were going to get around all this stuff and do all these things. Because I know that in the past, when they made video games, I think like Assassin's Creed, like Odyssey and Origins and stuff, they went through and like you see this little like pre-game message. They'll say like they consulted a wide variety of people of different religious beliefs, different like nationalities and backgrounds and stuff. And it's like they got a team of people together. Was it like an airplane or something? Whew. Let's take a breather here for a second. And like by the way, in stuff like environment, you never know. It could be the hand of God. I have no idea, right? Oh yeah, so like again, like they would consult large groups of people, and they would try to find a person of each major group, so that when when like a company would go through, and they'd use stuff like historical characters and stuff, they would at least consult a group of advisors, and the different people would tell people, like they would tell the games, or they'd bring out books, and they'd bring out whatever it would be, and at least they would make an effort to try to make the characters seem authentic, either to actually be authentic, or sometimes just to seem like they would be authentic. Because at least if you're like fact checked, or somebody would like hold you accountable, they would in a sense like hold your feet to the fire. It might not be 100% perfect, but maybe it's at least like 75% accurate. So it's like some people would look at a character not being like exactly one for one literal, but if you were to compare a picture to what they looked like a couple hundred years ago compared to what they look like in the game, if they were just like completely different than what they looked like you have a character like Benjamin Franklin, and they made a character of Benjamin Franklin look completely different in every way, shape, or form than what he would look like, it would be, that'd be like a bad thing. And like there are just certain details that you can't get around. Like Benjamin Franklin, he had he had his printing press. and his team of people, and he eventually became, his name's on like he has like the $100 bill. His like face is now on there. He became a president, and like he was involved a lot in stuff like the very ancient colonial all the matters of building this country. Like he had a lot of, his hand was involved in a lot of these issues, and there's a lot of things that you could look at in the books, and you could see aspects of him, and like you're not going to be able to change Benjamin Franklin 100% if he was like a completely different character than like what you would perceive him to be. That would look bad, and it would just destroy your destroy the intellectual like integrity of the company and all that kind of stuff. So like if you want to put a character like Benjamin Franklin into a story, you should make him look like the way that he is perceived to look as, and you should put all of his important qualities for the character. And then if you wanted to add him to a story that's a fictional story, I think that could be okay. I mean, again, you look at like one of the older Assassin's Creed when they showed the United States, and yeah, I mean the United States was depicted in a fictional world, but it did have strong it was built to look like what people perceived the United States looked like back several hundred years ago. So at least if it looks mostly believable, people will accept that, I think. At least you try to make it look like you at least try to show it respect. You try to show respect to the way things used to be. I do think people will probably accept it. So okay, so I guess this is kind of like I don't know, I might make another video about something like this. Oh, it was like 22 minutes. So yeah, I guess in the comment section below, let me know what your thoughts are. And are you going to buy this game? And how much do you care about this? Or is this just such an insult to you personally that you just refuse to buy it? Refuse to support and care about it? I mean, I personally would understand that. I mean, I don't know. I've kind of been burned out from a lot of Ubisoft games. They're so quantity heavy that it's hard to it's hard for me to really care anymore. But I mean, I might just watch a video. I'm sure Gamers Little Playground will make a video on it. Presuming the story's not 27 hours long. I mean, I'll probably watch it, or at least I mean I'll think about it. Or maybe the game's gonna suck, and maybe I won't care, right? But it'll be what it'll be. But it's not out yet, so yeah, what are your thoughts in the comment section below? Or do you even care about this issue? Because I know some people just don't even care. It is what it is, right? All right, I appreciate you watching. God is good.